All right, so there may be times that we need to loop things, and in the past, we've already started to see patterns. We're like, man, it'd be really nice if we could loop this over and over and over again and not have to worry about like typing more lines of code. The best programmers are lazy programmers, meaning they want to write the least number of lines of code. You can copy and paste things from before. And once you write your code one time, it'd be nice to be able to reuse that over and over and over again. So in Python, there's several ways that you can write loops. We're going to go through two of them, the two that are on the AP exam. The first type of loop is called a while loop. Okay, what is that hashtag symbol out in front of that? It's a comment, right? In Java, a comment looks like that. In Python, a comment is just that hashtag symbol, right? So this signifies, hey, I'm going to talk about a while loop. Maybe I'll also write a comment down here. So this is where I'm talking about for loop. While loops, for loops. Okay, so a while loop, you'll see first, the first thing you need is you need to initialize a variable. You then need to write the actual loop. And then you need to increment or decrement the variable. Okay, so there's three pieces in a while loop. So the first step, initialize a variable. So I'm just going to write a variable called x, and I'm going to assign it the value of 0. Okay. And by doing this, I've initialized a variable. So now we're going to write our loop, and we're going to write a while loop. So we'll say while x is less than 100, I'm going to go ahead and print out hello class. Okay. So that's my second step, is writing my loop. My third step is to increment. In this case, I'm going to add 1 to it. So I'll say x plus equals 1. So let me pause and tell you what this highlighted code does. So first, I've assigned a value to a variable. I've assigned it as 0. And then I'm going to say while is 0 less than 100? Is it? Yes, it is. So what it would do is it would print out hello class. And then I'm going to add 1 to x. So x would then be 1. Then would run again. Is 1 less than 100? Yes. So it prints out hello class, adds 1. Is 2 less than 100? Yes. So check us out. In these 4 lines of code, I've initialized a variable. I've wrote my loop, but then also incremented it. Notice that I have a colon, starts with while, with a lowercase w. You have your variable name, and then you have your colon at the end. If I hit enter, it automatically indents it for me in this IDE. Print it out, and then I increment it by 1. I could increment it by anything I wanted, but if I wanted this to print out hello class 100 times, this will do it. So if I run it, I should have hello class 100 times. Ready to go. And that's how fast it did it. Right? It printed it out 100 times. See all these? It printed it out very fast. Could you write hello class 100 times with your hand that fast? No, it's not possible. Computers can do things a lot faster than us. So that's why it's nice being able to use computers, learning how to tell computers what to do, because they can do things for us and make our lives easier and use these as tools. Right? Let's say I added 25 every single time. If I added 25 at the end of each time, how many times would this code run? 4, right? Because 25 times 4 would be 100. So if I run it, it says hello class, hello class, hello class, only 4 times. Now I could change this number to be anything I wanted, right? If I only wanted to run 5 times, this is a good practice. Assign the variable to 0, right? Then pick the number that you want to go up to and add 1 to it each time. So this should print out hello class 5 times. Now, notice I said increment or decrement the variable. Well, there's also another way of writing it. What if I wanted to write the same code but write it differently? I could say x is assigned 5, and I could say while x is greater than 0, print hi class. But rather than adding 1 to it, I could subtract 1 from it. Okay, what this does is by plus equals 1 in the last example, I took x, I added 1 to it, and assigned it back to x. In this case, I take x, which is 5, I subtract 1 from it, and assign it back to x. So let's look at these 4 lines of code right here. X is assigned 5. Is 5 greater than 0? Yes, so it prints hi class and subtracts 1 from 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. Is 4 greater than 0? Yes. So it continues the while loop until it gets down. Is 0 greater than 0? No, 0 is not greater than 0. So that breaks out of the while loop. So if I were to run this, notice this says hi class, hi class, hi class. And does it let me scroll up? Okay, there we go. So it printed out hello class 4 times or 5 times, and then printed out hi class 5 times. That's what those 2 while loops did. So that's a while loop. Now notice, check what would happen if I didn't add this line of code right here. If I say x is assigned 5, is 5 greater than 0? Yes, so it prints hi class. Is 5 greater than 0? Yes, and it prints hi class. Is 5 greater than 0? What's wrong? What would happen? You'd have an infinite loop and going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And let's run it and see what happens. It's freaking out. Right? It's still going. So I'm going to stop it. It printed out high class who knows how many times. Look, I'm scrolling up. Right? That would be awful, right? Look, I'm still scrolling. So we want to make sure that we add our increment or decrement variable, right? We're going to change the variable. So those are my while loops. While loops are great. We'll use while loops. We'll use a while loop in this project. You all right? I got. Huh? You have your head down like this, and I sat here and was staring at you. I need you here. Okay. So I have my while loops. If you want something to go on forever, maybe we'll talk about that too. I'll add a while true loop. Maybe we'll add that at the very end. Okay. So my for loops are similar to while loops. They just start with the word for, and you can write all of that code in half the number of lines. So I could say for I in, and I pick a range. So I could say a range of 5, print out welcome to class. Okay. So in a for loop, this will do the same thing. This will print out welcome to class 5 times. It basically says for each number in starting at 0. So it starts at 0, then it goes 1, then it goes 2, 3, 4. So it says, I want to do something 5 times. For I, and you can make this whatever you wanted. I always just make it I because it's easy. Because you could name it E, you could name it whatever you wanted, but I'm going to say for I. For each instance in the range of 5 potential numbers, I want to print welcome to class 5 times. So if I run this, notice it says welcome to class, welcome to class, welcome to class, welcome to class. So a while loop took 4 lines of code. You could write the same exact, you get the same exact thing you wanted in 2 lines of code with a for loop. Now, for loops are awesome with things called lists. And we're going to be working with lists very soon here. Actually, we might be working with lists in this project coming up, the Dragon Adventure project. Okay, so that's important to note. There's my for loop. A while true loop is a forever loop. So I can say, or infinite loop. So I could say while true, print out today is Monday. Right, so I'll zoom out a little bit here. Maybe I'll move this down. Give me some more space to look at things. All right, so while true, print today is Monday. And it would just loop through it forever and print out today is Monday until it gets a break. So check this. If I say, I don't know, let's add an input function in here. Whoops. I'll say, pick a number 1 through 5. And let's say this is someone's guess. And then behind the scenes, let me just make up a secret number and I'll assign it 3. I could say if guess is equal to the secret number, I'll print out you are correct. And then it will break out of the loop. So a new keyword here is break. So think about the project that we made last week. And if you wanted to loop something over and over and over again until you got the right answer, in the game we made last week, it only asked 1 time, right? And it was like, pick a number 1 to 5, and if you got it wrong, you were done. But now it says today's Monday, secret number is assigned 3. pick a number 1 to 5. The user would pick a number. It would then be stored as guess. Should probably cast this as an integer. Line 20 right there. Okay, so pick a number 1 to 5, and the user would pick a number. If the guess is a secret number, it would print "you are correct" and break out of the loop, so you don't have to deal with the loop anymore. And then after that, if you for some reason didn't get it right, it would just cycle through and ask all over again. So maybe outside, maybe I'll copy this and put the secret number on the outside and say, hey, the secret number is 3. So that way I'm not resetting it every single time. Maybe I'll also take out today is Monday, and I'll put that above up there. So really it's just looping through, pick a number 1 to 5, pick a number 1 to 5. I'll say something like else. I'll say print incorrect. So before I run it, let's just look through it. So I have something that will show up and say, today is Monday. I don't know why it would say that. But then it says secret number is assigned 3. The user would pick a secret number, or pick a number 1 to 5. If the user's guess is equal to the secret number, print out "you're correct." And then it would break out. If they didn't select the right number, it would say incorrect and then restart the loop all over again, but would still keep the secret number. So let's run it. Pick a number 1 to 5. Let's say 4. It says incorrect. See if I can close out of this. This is kind of annoying. There you go. Incorrect. Pick a number 1 to 5. If I said 2. Incorrect. Pick a number 1 to 5. If I said 3, it says you are correct, and it breaks me out of the loop. And I'm done. So the while true loop would go on forever until it gives me a break. Okay, that break keyword, let me see if I can zoom in here. That break keyword right here is what breaks it out of the loop. So in a while true loop, also known as an infinite loop, will go on forever. We also looked at how to accidentally create an infinite loop is if we don't increment our while loop variable if we've assigned it a variable. Okay, so while this condition is true, do this over and over and over again until we get a break.